Hello and welcome to a special episode. With somebody I've interviewed many times in the past, but different context. I had interviewed Igor Stimac multiple times as India coach, and since then, obviously we have been in touch on WhatsApp, but we haven't done a formal interview. Why am I doing this interview, and why did I reach out to Coach Stimac? I want to put this on record that this whole debate about players of Indian origin, is that a solution to India's football problems, has come up after the India versus Bangladesh match. Hamza Chaudhary, to be specific. The English Premier League footballer has done very well for Bangladesh. India could not beat Bangladesh on home soil. So there is a clear, all of a sudden, a clamor that players of Indian origin should play for India. There is a rule which stops them. Coach Stimac had made this point as India coach. He has advocated this. Why did he do it? Is it the only solution? What is the way forward? We wanted to discuss this because since 1 year now, he left the job. Manolo Marquez has taken it over. And no disrespect to Stimac or Manolo Marquez, the truth of the matter is Indian football has not progressed even one bit. Coach, thank you very much for joining me. After the Bangladesh match, there is this whole talk, players of Indian origin, basis Hamza Chaudhary. Your thoughts on this?
Okay, first of all, I would like to say hi to everyone who is watching us and who is following your show and who is showing real care and interest for Indian football and its progress. I wouldn't dramatize too much over draw against Bangladesh, which is happening now, because I remember very well that at the beginning of my work we had very similar result. At the end of the day, that doesn't mean anything. There is plenty of games ahead of us. But the crucial question here is well raised. Where Indian football is going and where is the solution to improve it quicker? So I was not the first one mentioning that possibility or a way of improving Indian football within shortcut. Involving players of Indian origin was always the topic, and it was mentioned even when Bob Houghton was the coach there, long prior to myself. No? So all the coaches were mentioning that, not only to protect our own position as the national team head coach, but to help Indian football in a real way to improve very quickly, you know. And I will remind you now, when I took over the job in India, that very soon we noticed a huge lack of core strength and tactical knowledge amongst the players, which were then playing for the national team. And the question raised amongst the coaching staff was how to overcome such problem within Indian national team. And we found only two solutions. The one was involving foreign-born players in the process, convincing sport authorities of India that the law needs to be changed if we want successful national team. And the second one was getting more time for work with the national team, which meant we need somehow to convince FSDL, our partner there, that the calendar of the competition of ISL needs to be adapted and more in the favor of the national team success. Obviously, we were not successful in convincing decision makers of what needs to be done for Indian football to improve quicker, because there were other interests there. I will not go talking about that. They will give the answer if they want why that was done, but I can prove that we were right, because I will remind you that the best and most successful two campaigns during my tenure as a national team coach were after we were given enough time to work with the players. And these were two long camps which we had, one prior to the Asian Cup qualifiers, which were held in Kolkata, where we defeated all three teams in our group with a goal difference 8-1, and in style, with a great football playing at the Salt Lake Stadium. And the second one was when we had a long camp in 2023 during May and June, prior to the Hero Intercontinental Cup in Orisha and South Cup in Bangalore, I think, where we defeated 2-7. sometimes Lebanon.
Just to sort of be devil's advocate, last year before the 6th June match, you also had a long camp that did not yield results. Maybe you can say it's a one-off, but you did also have a long camp. And coming back to this PIO players thing, uh, when I see some of the other teams, be it Bangladesh more recently, but quite a lot of other countries, is that a model you think, and you follow global football more than me, this is a model that is being followed by many other countries. Many other countries have utilized this model.
All of them. I don't know any country which is not using that model. Croatia played France last week in the Nation League quarterfinals here, and we could clearly see that in the starting lineup of the French team there is 9 players who were with the origin which got nothing to do with France. They are representing the French football, playing for the national team. Many countries, Croatia is surviving at the highest level of world football because they use this tool, and we use many players which were born in Australia, which were born in Germany and developed in their football structure. But they feel Croatian, they want to represent Croatia, and we open the door for them to do so. Why not?
Yeah, and a lot of footballers have already been pretty vocal about this, that they want to play for India. They want to come and play for the Indian national team. So there is interest there. I'll come back to this topic. And I asked you this because when I see the Indian team, I don't see goals. And when I see Manolo Marquez, and by the way, I've got great respect for Manolo Marquez as a coach. So do you. You and I have spoken about this in the past. But I see Manolo Marquez literally being forced to bring back Sunil Chhetri. That tells me, Sunil is a friend of mine and you know that, but that tells me that our football is so bad in shape at the moment that we have to get Sunil back to fulfill this problem or try and overcome this problem. That cannot be a good solution for Indian football in any which way.
Listen, my dear friend, I will remind you of another thing which I was insisting on. If we are still keeping so many foreign players at the starting 11s in ISL, which is the top level league in India, then we're not going to be successful in producing new players at the crucial position and core positions in the team. That's obvious, because there is no place where they can develop their abilities. If you remember, I was even suggesting if we keep the same rule in ISL of 3+1 foreign player in the starting 11, then we need to insist that I-leagues need to be played without foreign players. These leagues need to be place where Indian origin players will be developed at the crucial positions for the football future. We are not allowing Indian talented boys to develop themselves. They don't have places to play where. How are you going to expect to...
Coach, one second. I mean, now you have touched a very raw nerve. It is that whole club versus country debate. Suppose I am Mohun Bagan. Suppose I am Mumbai. I am Bengaluru. I want to win the ISL. Why should I agree to such a thing? I am a club. That is number one. So number two, I'll ask your opinion. Number two, do you think we have talent that, okay, if there is 5 years or whatever, 5 years time, and you have I-League only with Indian footballers or something to do with ISL where people play in the defensive position or in the attacking position, Indian talent will develop. Do you have that belief?
Absolutely. With the proper work in a proper structure. With so many millions of people and such a young country, with so much youth and so much talent in all aspects. Whatever we speak about, India is talented. If you start working properly at the proper age with the youngsters, with the good coaches, you will develop great players. But it takes decades. But starting to work with the players at the age of 7, until you develop a proper player at the age of 18, there you need for him place to play. And if those places are occupied by foreign players, this player and all the work you have done with him is disappearing. because you will put him on the sides. You will not put him in the crucial positions because these are occupied by the foreign players. The other problem is the quality of the foreign players we are bringing there. You are telling me about teams, they have ambition of winning ISL. What gain they have out of it? What is the gain for the clubs besides owner can lift the trophy? Are they successful in Asian Cups? A real merit of the work should be winning the Asian Cup if you are doing well with your club. Where we stand there? Even with the foreign players, we are losing to Maldives clubs, to Bangladesh clubs, to all these low-level nations at the Asian Cup competition. So there is no benefit for Indian football. We need to be honest about that. So is it football in India just competition amongst the rich guys? Or are they working together to develop Indian football?
You are touching some really important questions, but then what is the solution? What is the solution? Is it okay, change the law, bring in PIO, that will give you a 10-year, you are actually cutting down that this 7 to 20 that you're talking about, that bring in young people, people of the age of 7, and it will take 13 years to make them into good footballers. So this 10-year or 13-year, whatever it is, gap, you fulfill with PIO players. 10 years, you will fast track. That is solution 1. Solution 2, ISL or I-League, you are saying, okay, I-League, let it be played with Indian footballers. That's solution 2. ISL, you are saying these clubs should now have ambition at the Asian level. Only if you have that, you will bring in quality foreigners and it will be better. Are these 3 the solution then?
There are many more solutions also, but none will succeed until we put local interests or state interests in front of interests of Indian football. You understand what I'm saying? All the stakeholders need to sit down together and prioritize what is the aim here. Because in each country in the world, football exists at the lowest level for one reason, to have successful national team. That's the main reason of football existence. Because the biggest competition in the world is the World Cup. Are the clubs playing there? Or football nations? Is it dream of Indians to participate at the World Cup one day or where? Clubs are not participating at the World Cup championship. So we all need to work together to create strong pool of players, talented Indian players, to make sure that they have where to play and develop their strengths to represent the country at the end of the day and to qualify with India for the World Cup. Otherwise,
you are saying we don't prioritize the national team.
No,
that is fundamental problem.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And we mentioned that many times there. And I said many times, you can bring Guardiola, you can bring Mourinho for the head coach, the result will be the same while you're behaving like that.
Would you have brought somebody like Sunil back? Is that a solution?
Listen, that was a short-term solution because Manolo probably noticed that there is no killer in front of the goal, and at that point he needed Sunil and probably asked him to come back for that game, to overcome the game against Bangladesh and to get the win, 3 points to lift up the confidence of the players of the dressing room and to calm down the nation, I would say, but. It's always risky to do so.
I'll close with 2 questions. This has been a very troubling interview for me because clearly it is not looking good, and both of us should not sugarcoat it. It is not looking good. You don't have any stakes anymore. I do as a journalist and as a fan, follower, analyst, and as an Indian. You maybe as a former coach who invested 5 years of his life into this structure, but you don't have any direct stakes anymore. So clearly, none of us make money out of this. None of us have any selfish interest. When you take an objective view, we have a vision 2047. Manolo got angry one day and said, even 2097, nothing will happen. He lost his cool after the match against Bangladesh. What's the way forward, coach? I mean, do you see Stimac replaced by Manolo, Manolo replaced by X, X replaced by Y, and the drama continues?
Everybody is putting and raising same questions in India. At the same time, everyone knows the answer and nothing is done. What else you want me to tell you? I said several times, multiple times, whenever I was telling the truth, on the other hand, I had the PR machine of one of the stakeholders in the house to kill myself and to present me as a self-interest boy or someone who is there just not caring about Indian football. And actually, I was the only one caring about Indian football. Telling the truth. That's the only way forward. Opening the cards. Sitting around the tables amongst other stakeholders and saying, what are we going to do with this football anymore? Is this football worth? It's not good. It's not good. It's the place where you can have average foreign players earning good money. Some coaches who are there with a great faith and willing to help, and others who got nowhere else to go and picking up some money also. And that's it. That's your football at the moment. And that's not a good way of doing things.
Have you been in touch with some of the footballers or with Manolo or with anybody in the system? Are you in touch with them?
Yes, I was. Always. I keep my relations with the boys and with the coaches, and we are in touch. We all know the problems, but you know, once I was the one of few only who was saying the truth, not caring about what someone going to think or losing my position, because I didn't come to India, as I said several times, to leak asses to anyone. I came there to help. And that's what I did throughout my tenure for 5 years. But not many listened.
I will end there, Igor Stimac. I mean, I've got some answers to my interview, but I don't think Indian football has any answers yet. I was as frustrated and as upset and as disappointed with the result to Bangladesh, but you pointed out there are many games to happen. So why think short term? One always have to think positively and be optimistic, but you know, even optimism is kind of dying out, and I don't see light at the end of the tunnel, at least at this point in time. And as someone who wants the betterment of Indian football, it is not a good position to be in.
So you are right, but I would mention again, do not be pessimistic too much, because first of all, Manolo deserves the credit for knowing the situation and taking responsibility and his chance to lead the team forward. Okay, so I will remind you that I started really poor in the qualifiers, but somehow survived with the vision, with the fight, with the willingness to face the people on the other side and tell them the truth, fighting for the players, for the dressing room, developing their core strength and abilities at the same time. And Manolo will try and do the same. I'm quite convinced. It's going to be difficult, but it's going to be easier with your help, with your belief, and surrounding him with the support. You know, if there is no support from the fans, from those who are important in Indian football, then it's going to be very difficult for Manolo and the boys in the rest of the qualifiers.
I will end there. I will end there. Thank you very much for your time. As always, plain speak, candid talk, open talk, constructive talk, not controversial, not negative. In fact, I was the one who was more disappointed and frustrated here than you are. So I've got to say that. Hopefully, at some point, Indian football will improve and we will have a better interview and a better conversation. Thank you very much.
I hope so. Thank you very much, Boria, and God bless all Indians. You also.